Hello, everyone. We're here. My name is Shane Kelly. I'm the CEO and founder of Cinematica Labs. I have had the absolute privilege and honor over the last several weeks, along with my team, to work with the 7 incredible founders that you're going to hear today. I'll talk a little bit more about why that is so important, but I want y'all to know also that Cinematica Labs is made up of Marcia and Trivia, who you probably checked in with at the desk outside. And we have really helped to design this program, bring together our community of mentors to support these entrepreneurs in partnership with CoLab, who is our accelerator partner, and we have Samantha here from CoLab in the building as well behind the laptop. Marcia and Trivia on my team. So we all came together thanks to Ranisha and Devon for bringing us into this opportunity. Now y'all know how they roll, right? So it was really a lot of gravity that I felt when they invited us to participate in this program. I think back to history, right? They were joking that I'm a professor now, so I start going deep. But, I go back to history. I think about Ida B. Wells, right? Who was a newspaper publisher and an entrepreneur in the face of great threats and challenges, and the importance of her work and the work of others like her, right? Who were not just instrumental in getting the franchise for Black people in this country, but for women in this country, right? That is the gravity and the importance of why we're here today. It's not just an economic imperative or an economic opportunity, but I will tell you, I was in the digital media, TV and film space in the 2000s in New York City, and I literally had people say, "You just don't understand, Shane. Black content just doesn't play. There's just not a business there. It's a business thing. It's not like a bias thing." And I know what a huge audience we have here and how much influence we have in the Black and Latina and indigenous communities. And so I set that as part of my personal mission, was to solve that. And I figured we would be a lot further along by now, but we're not. And that's why I appreciate the bravery and courage and the diligence and persistence of Ranisha and Devon to actually stand this up. And that's why this is such an honor to be here today. And I'm delighted and excited to be hearing from the entrepreneurs, these media entrepreneurs that we've been working so closely with over the last several weeks. And before we do that, I really want to invite Ranisha to come up and speak a little bit about BOMESI, right? The Black-owned Media Equity and Sustainability Institute. That is why we're here today. And it is thanks to her and Devon's grit and persistence and vision to make this a reality. Ranisha.
I am really, really grateful to Shane for, leading us today, but also being one of the leaders throughout the Accelerator program, alongside, of course, CoLab. We have Samantha here representing CoLab. And, all of our partners, it's really beautiful to see all of the hard work of everyone come to life in this room and in this space. I also want to give a special thanks and shout out to the Cargo team who's here today, representing in full force, the Undertone team who's here, representing in full force. And Samantha, please tell me if I forgot any other partners that I need to be mentioning. Oh, we're gonna get to them. So it's been really a long journey, a lot of hustle, a lot of conversations, and it's been 3 years. We started BOMESI, which is a nonprofit organization that stands for Black-Owned Media Equity and Sustainability Institute, in 2020. And it was really a mission that was aligned with the moment, but we wanted it to be something that existed beyond that moment and to be a movement. And I think that we are still at the beginning stages, but there's so much to come, especially because everyone in this room is mission aligned and mission focused and realize that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And so we need to make sure that we are not only committing to uphold media entities just through advertising and deal flow. This is about investing real capital, real infrastructure, so that media companies have the resources to hire the talent, to tell the stories, to represent underserved communities that need to be informed through the lens of people who look like them. And that is really the true intention behind all of this. Yes, we want economic empowerment. Yes, we want the dollars, but the dollars are the bloodline to help us to make a difference. And if media does not reflect our communities, we only get one side of the story, one perspective, and that's not what journalism is. Journalism is telling the truth, being rooted in truth, and that is why we exist. So, we're talking today about diverse-owned media, and that is why, because there's not enough, and we have the power to change it and shift it. And so that was what motivated me in 2020. I've been a publisher myself for 15 years, so I understand the challenges and the pain points and the barriers. But I also understand what we have, the value of my audience, the value of the stories that we're telling. And I understand that it's not matched with the resources or the finances that I need to uphold and launch and serve my community. And so that changes today, that changes tomorrow, and that changes through all of you in this room. So thank you for being committed and for being here today. Give all of yourselves a round of applause. I also would like to, of course, give a big thank you to GM, because we spoke to them literally. I felt like I should have been on salary like every month for 2 years. And we just worked together with them. We told them, I get it. You want to spend with, diverse-owned media. Diverse suppliers are very important to you. But if you want to be able to spend at the level that you want to spend on, we need to provide capital upfront to these founders. We also need to equip them to go into the rooms and understand how to sell themselves in a way that advertisers can understand and digest it. They already have the skill sets. They have what they need. They just need to understand how to translate that to the advertising ecosystem, and we can create that through a curriculum, through a program. So they eventually got on board, and I'm really excited that they were our first funder for the first accelerator. And I say first because there will be another. We actually just opened applications for the second cohort. The deadline is July 16th, so spread the word. The second cohort launches this fall, and we hope to continue this annually, 2 cohorts a year, 5 cohorts a year. And so if you are in a position to fund a program like this, come on board, invite us to talk, and we're happy to incorporate you as a potential sponsor or funder next year. And Devon is amazing, and he's my co-founder, but he's also juggling a million things, as we all are. So he's en route, and he will say a few words, I'm sure, at some point, but I will pause here and introduce a video message from our partners at GM.
Congratulations to the Black-Owned Media Equity and Sustainability Institute, BOMESI, on your annual Black-Owned Media Weekend in Tulsa, Oklahoma. General Motors applauds you for being a champion to support diverse-owned media. Unfortunately, due to prior commitments, we couldn't be there in person. General Motors has the aspiration to be the most inclusive company in the world, and grateful for allies like BOMESI that align with this vision. We are committed to engaging, supporting, and investing in diverse-owned media and creatives because representation matters. To the first BOMESI Accelerator Cohort, this is a journey of a lifetime. Keep aspiring to elevate, and best wishes on your Upfront sessions. Okay, come on.
context of the video. So just to give context to the video, you know, they had a lot of commitments and they wanted to make sure that they sent a special message. They're actually in Miami right now at another conference and wanted to make sure that they got a GM vehicle to show. And so they were so dedicated that they stood outside in the rain to put that video forward to you all. So that's why they're outside in the rain.
All right. That was amazing. Ranisha, give it up one more time for Ranisha and Devon. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, that I am so excited about, we have these incredible publishers telling the stories that need to be out there from the standpoints of the people who inhabit that lived experience, right? We have a publisher who is serving 67% of women that are currently underserved, right? We have someone who is representing English-dominant Latinas, who a lot of folks just don't realize are driving a huge component of our economy. We have an entire borough of the city of New York that I miss so dearly, you know? And we have upliftment for women of color, for folks from HBCUs and black sororities and fraternities, from hip hop, voice of business, all the way to folks that are tracking the history and the story of media moguls for the youth. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Leanne of BAUCE.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay? I just want to make sure. Alrighty. Hi, everyone. My name is Leanne, and I am the founder of BOMESI Mag, the premier lifestyle site for self-made women. Our mission is clear. We create content, resources, and tools that help Black women from disadvantaged backgrounds achieve success and look good while doing it. Entrepreneurship has long been a path towards building wealth. But as you may know, Black women are among the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. However, they don't get access to the same capital and connections like most of their counterparts. Our goal is to provide diverse storytelling and connections to help close the racial wealth gap so that there are more Black female self-made millionaires like Madam C.J. Walker in the world. Our community is filled with relentless hustlers, disciplined doers, and brand builders that crave products and services that play a pivotal role in enhancing their skills, building their empires, and showing up confidently in their way to the top. BOSS is an emerging women's brand that delivers actionable insights and advice from accomplished Black women. With over 250,000 monthly page views and 500,000 search impressions, BOMESI Mag consistently attracts ambitious, high-earning women that are hungry for the tools and information they need to succeed. What also makes our audience super unique is that they are engaged at their core. On average, they read about 4 to 5 articles per session, spend upwards to 5 minutes or more in our business and career transition content related categories. And our email newsletter that goes out twice a month is typically open at a rate that is higher than the industry average. Our readers are go-getters that are excited about products and services that help them catapult to the top. Our audience is primarily African-American women between the ages of 18 and 45 that live in large urban cities like LA, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, to name a few. They're college educated, a mobile first community that is transitioning from poverty to prosperity with style. So that means they invest in quality services for their business, like bookkeeping tools, in addition to high-end cars and luxury experiences that make them feel self-made. Our audience is truly multi-dimensional. So our team produces a diverse array of digital solutions that can bring your brand awareness that can bring brand awareness to companies that cater to high-earning professionals and money-minded entrepreneurs. So on the screen, I'm showing you a nice little menu of our digital solution offerings, and I'd like to just do a quick deep dive on each of them for you. So our digital displays drive awareness and traffic to your brand through banner ads. Oh, sorry, I think I went too fast. Okay. Through banner ads, pre-roll video, and interactive wraparound graphics. We also have the capability to create custom landing pages and offer full site takeovers, which gives your brand a fuller experience that can drive more impressions. So on this slide, you'll see an example of our programmatic adhesion banner on the desktop. And then you can also see a strategically placed ad for Skillshare that we put in our sidebar unit because that area gets a lot of traffic on our site. Our branded content allows us to embed your brand natively onto our site to promote your product or service directly with our audience. This is a top performing solution for us because BOSS is a magazine, so it's very editorially focused, and a lot of our readers consume our editorial content. So our articles have about a 4% click-through rate when it comes to links that are embedded within the content. So that means there's more opportunity for our readers to convert and learn more about your brand. Our email placements allow us to showcase your brand to our list of growing 10,000 plus email subscribers. So we do this in two ways. We can offer a dedicated email, which means non-competitive copy and graphics that are solely focused on your brand, as you can see on the example on your right, or on my right. And then we also do placements for brands in our biweekly newsletter, which again has a 40% open rate. So your brand is kind of seen alongside our holy grail list of resources to our readers. Boss Mag also exists on 5 different social media platforms, which allows us to amplify your brand's message in a variety of effective formats. So we will collaborate with other influencers to produce creative short form videos and posts that tell a captivating story about your brand. So on the screen, you can see an example of some Instagram reels that we created previously to drive awareness to some of our partners, which includes Flex Jobs, the Win Summit, and Fearless Fun, to name a few brands. Last but not least, our events. To date, we have hosted nearly 50 in-person and virtual events that attract an audience that is ready to buy from whomever we recommend. Our events have a 96% attendance rate, and this really helps us to position our partners as trusted voices of authority within our community. So on the screen, you can see an example of a campaign we recently did with TIAA, who was looking to attract a younger audience to learn more about their retirement planning services. We sponsored with them to do a master class, which helped to not only raise awareness, but helped to kind of build this brand recognition amongst the audience that isn't necessarily looking for those tools at this current stage in their life. Now, lastly, I would like to deep dive into our signature event, Boss House. This is a beautiful event that gathers together business-minded women each year in an anti-conference style event. Now, what makes this experience unique is that we break down the barriers of what a typical conference looks like. We host it in a cozy loft. We get rid of the stage and make everyone sit on the same level. And we offer small group coaching alongside a series of panels with rising and accomplished women. This makes our content relatable and accessible to everyone in attendance. The event typically attracts 100 to 150 ambitious Black women each time we host it, and our attendees have told us how they've gained access to mentors, new opportunities, business partners, professional friends. Aspire TV, Shea Moisture, L'Oreal, and Sweetgreen are just a few of the brands that have invested in this event to showcase their support to the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the US. Now, I want to leave you with just a little case study, of a partnership we did in regards to showcasing how our solutions have the power to drive an impact. We worked with them for the Boss House event. But around the time of 2018, 2019, they were starting to open up more locations in New York, and they were looking to attract a more diverse audience to their stores. They also wanted people to leverage more of their online services, so online ordering and downloading the app. And so when we came to them about partnering with us for Boss House, we saw it as a perfect opportunity to do a digital campaign as well. So we put together a digital campaign that included 2 dedicated email blasts, 2 branded articles, a wraparound banner on our homepage, so a takeover on the homepage, and also a banner ad that was embedded in the bottom of our articles. This led to, over the course of a 2-week campaign, 6,000 page views, 35,000 impressions across the display ads, and over 100 app downloads at the event and afterwards, because after our attendees got to devour their beautiful meals, they were able to engage in a app demonstration where we showed them how to download the app and how to use it. And this really was a great campaign because it left positive brand sentiment with our attendees and also helped Sweet Green attract a diverse audience from our community. We are grateful to have had the opportunity to partner with a series of brands over the years that have believed in the Boss mission. And we are excited today to connect with more brands that are mission-driven, solutions-oriented, and truly care about seeing Black women win. I thank you so much for watching this presentation, and I look forward to connecting with you throughout the day and throughout the weekend. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Leanne. Next up, we have Zawadi Morris from BK Reader.
Good evening or good afternoon, everyone. My name is C. Zawadi Morris, and I am founder and publisher of BK Reader, which is a digital daily news site that covers the 2.6 million residents of Brooklyn. So I founded BK Reader in 2013 because I wanted to bring quality news and information to underserved residents. Information that would help improve their lives, spark civic engagement, and also offer better representation. So what started out as 6 neighborhoods throughout Brooklyn eventually grew to be all 62 neighborhoods all across the borough and representing close to 3 million of the residents. A decade later, and BK Reader is still here, we're still daily, and we're still free. And based on our readership and our staff, it is a model of what news equity can look like. Our strategy is simple: to give the community a platform where they can tell their own stories. This approach to news gathering has led to what is now our greatest asset, an engaged audience of Brooklyn readers who trust us. So what is our deep expertise? Well, what I can say is that we have 3 strengths, and those 3 strengths are what attracts both nonprofit and for-profit companies to us, working with us, and those strengths are, number 1, our diverse readership. We bring diverse people into the room. Number 2, our trust. The community trusts us. They know if it's in BK Reader, then it's true. And our authenticity. We have such an authenticity with our readers that when they come to us, they know that it's going to definitely be true. And we have an authentic relationship also with community leaders and with organizations. A 2022 Pew Research study found that the New York Times, which is the standard bearer for news and arguably the most reputable news source in the world, has one of the least diverse audiences with only 4% Black readership and 10% Latino readership. BK Reader's readership is 44% Black and much more diverse. Yes, the New York Times has millions more followers, and I'm not comparing size. What I'm simply saying is that BK readers are the readers that the New York Times is not reaching. All of our writers live locally in Brooklyn, offering on-the-ground perspective, which lends to our authenticity. In Brooklyn, we call that valid.
Where you from?
Brooklyn.
You think you valid?
I'm valid.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Finish New York link, are you with it?
Of course.
Can I get bacon, egg,
Cheese.
chop,
Cheese.
chicken over?
Rice.
What does safety mean?
That means be like, you Gucci like wherever you go.
Alright, so what is like you my muddy?
You my man.
Type ice, so boom.
That's you about to explain something like that's how you started off.
I ain't
Right,
cap.
so boom.
Valid, bro.
BK Reader is valid because we cover the neighborhoods of Brooklyn that historically were news deserts or suffered shallow news coverage. And we've been consistent. Our readers trust us because for 10 years, we have consistently published news, originally reported news, every single day. And anyone can tell you that consistency builds trust. So let's take a deeper dive into our content, our numbers, and our offerings. BK Reader publishes 8 to 10 news pieces of content every single day with 175,000 visitors to our site each month, 84% of which on average are unique visitors. That means that at least 4,000 readers are coming to our site, seeing brand new content, fresh content every single day. We have 20,000 newsletter subscribers, and we are still growing. Our email subscriptions jumped from a little under 6,000 in May 2022 to more than 20,000 today. That's a 300% growth. Our email newsletters offer brands a way to send out surveys, contests, and targeted advertising to an audience of loyal readers. So the average BK reader, when examining the largest group across gender, race, ethnicity, income, and also interests and profession, is a black woman between the age of 35 and 44 who's college educated, makes more than $65,000, and either wants to be an entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur. As for BK Reader's content, we cover 6 news verticals, from health and wellness to arts and entertainment to nonprofit and community, crime and government, and the list goes on and on. Our features include the popular top 5 listicles of what to do and what to know about any and everything that is Brooklyn. From where to brunch, to the best swimming pools, to the best dog parks. Our Brooklyn Sauce series features video profiles of the sauciest people, places, and activities in Brooklyn. And our local voices invites the community to weigh in about anything that they want. And we'll publish it right alongside of our regular news stories. We've had everyone from Mayor Eric Adams to Hillary Clinton to the cat lady in Prospect Heights submit stories to our local voices section. We produce quality video stories. Here's one from our Brooklyn Sauce series. Not only are our video stories becoming the preferred way for younger generations to receive their news, they provide ample opportunities for advertisers to run in-stream video ads.
Hello, beautiful people. It's Zawadi Morris and Michi of BK Reader for another edition of Brooklyn Sauce. And we are downtown Brooklyn right now at a hotspot called Underground Grills.
The bottom line is that people view their neighborhood as their tribe in Brooklyn. And by extension, that is what makes them authentic. And if you're not relevant in their neighborhood, then you're an interloper. You want to reach Brooklyn residents in a meaningful and lasting way, then you go through us. BK Reader is your bridge to authentic Brooklyn. For our local and brand advertisers, we have what we call the Community Leaders Program, where we offer each brand a featured section for spotlight articles that we boost over social. We write a special profile on each of them featuring the Community Leaders badge, and of course, we offer high impact display advertising for all of our community leaders across all of our pages, including our newsletter. And an opportunity to sponsor all of the articles we write under a subject of your choice, subjects that resonate specifically with topics that Brooklynites care about. For instance, with Emblem Health, we had a series on mental health that they sponsored all of them, and at the bottom of the article it said, "This is sponsored by Emblem Health." We also offer clients a brand takeover of our homepage, including wallpaper ads and all of our ad real estate. For example, this is what a takeover by General Motors would look like. So, as a case study, when City Bike first launched, they used BK Reader's audience to conduct an exclusive pop-up survey. The goal was to get a better understanding of why Brooklyn residents were choosing or not choosing to ride a city bike. They learned many valuable things from our survey, but one of the biggest takeaways was that the public housing residents were not touching the bikes because they required a debit card for use, and many of them did not have a debit card. So they quickly pivoted and they decided to come up with an app. Well, they were building the app, but they moved much quicker to build something that did not require a debit card. They would not have had this intel or this information so quickly and succinctly if had they not worked with BK Reader's audience of loyal readers. As the only minority and woman-owned news media in Brooklyn, BK Reader is the city government's pre-qualified list of MWBE firms, certified and vetted to take contracts with the city agencies and other large firms. BK Reader has worked under MWBE contracts with the Brooklyn Navy Yard, Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation, YMCA, and Brookdale Hospital, to name a few. BK Reader has worked as a media sponsor, partner, and or producer, co-producer for a number of high-profile Brooklyn events, including Stars of New York Dance, African Restaurant Week, Bushwick Film Festival, and Dance Africa, to name a few. And we were also selected by Facebook in the first cohort of We the Culture. We served as social media ambassadors. BK Reader is verified in Brooklyn. We have received proclamations from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office, the State Assembly, the City Council, awards from the local charter schools, the Historic Emmanuel Baptist Church, and most recently, the Brooklyn chapter of the NAACP. So what our brand partners are buying from BK Reader is not just advertising. It's not just visibility amongst a diverse audience of readers and change makers. What our partners are buying is access and instant credibility from a decade of BK Reader building relationships in the community. And most importantly, the language to speak to them. That is cultural capital, and at the end of the day, that not only is invaluable, it's valid.
Next up, we have Kevin from Parle.
Good afternoon, folks. How's everybody doing? Good, good. Y'all hear me? All right. It's my pleasure to introduce you to or reintroduce you to Parle Magazine. We've been around since 2004, an entertainment and lifestyle magazine based in New York. Okay. Here we go. While we focus on entertainment and lifestyle, readers keep coming back to the site because of the way we tell stories. We tell stories that motivate and inspire through celebrity interviews and on the come-up spotlights. Parle means to speak, obviously. Part of what makes us great is that we tell stories about the community and the culture. All right, we've always been culture focused, and that is one of the reasons why our readers keep coming back. We've grown organically since 2004. As you can see, we started as a print publication. Long time ago. We started newsprint. Our readers have followed us from newsprint to glossy, and now exclusively online. There we go. We've grown organically since 2011, where we went online, and that's literally looked like 25,000 viewers to start, to now we're over 500,000 unique views every month. Our social media following. Our readers are responsible for over 2 million advertising impressions monthly, with an additional 750,000 impressions via video, pre-roll, and mid-roll. There we go. Our audience our audience data is leveraged from Google Analytics. As you can see, skewed 55% women. We are in urban cities. Houston's currently one of our biggest markets, somehow, some way. New York, LA, Atlanta, as far as Lagos, Nigeria, as close as Miami, DC, places like that. We survey our existing subscriber base quarterly to better understand their needs and make sure we are providing them with relevant partners. Our audience are entertainment news enthusiasts, music and movie lovers. They enjoy traveling, the pursuit of the good life, and they are future focused. As you can see, for the most part, they're on mobile. Organic search is at 70%. Direct traffic is about 10%. Our audience is overwhelmingly employed, and about 7% are actively searching for a new job that pays them more. 5% are pursuing additional education in pursuit of a first or a graduate degree. Most importantly, our audience prioritizes brands that speak to them and considers them as tastemakers and trendsetters. Brands that prioritize them. That's why you come to Parle. There's a variety of ways your investment dollars spread within the brand and can go deep with the Parle fam. These are some of the opportunities to parlay with us. There we go. Our advertising partner is Freestar. They handle all of our reporting, weekly, monthly, whatever you need. We have all IAB advertising sizes, and these are some of the recent campaigns that we've done. Ben & Jerry's, the National Census Campaign, and HP. Our a la carte options, pre-roll video, our video adhesion unit, sponsored content on every page, and of course, advertising our weekly newsletter. There we go. This is a quick case study on Ben & Jerry's. It's a lot of numbers. I know you're not going to get it now, but we can always discuss later. That's not it. All right. This is the part where we quickly recap my story. I started Parle Magazine in 2004. It was basically my first kid, my only kid right now. And I was a kid when I started. I was 17 years old when I started Parle Magazine, and it was a concept to really tell stories of people who were on the come up, you know, and I've been on the come up the entire time. The entire time I've worked on the magazine, or most of the time I worked on the magazine, I also worked in education. So I had a full-time job at a high school. I was teaching young people how to do media. I was teaching young people about internships and how to get a job and do things like that, all while doing Parle on the side and trying to give them tips on financial literacy and basically how they could start something if they wanted to. In 2021, I left that role in education. I've, been Parle focused ever since, but we continue to work with young people, mentorship, and do all those things. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Team Parle, that's what we call ourselves, or that's what I call them. Won't go too much into their stories, but 100% black owned. Our team is entirely black and brown. They're all over the country. They're all over the world. We have an entire team in Nigeria. We have contributors throughout the country. Again, things we can talk about in more detail at a later time. So, what does the future of Parle look like? The future of Parle is diverse. The future of Parle includes next year being our 20th anniversary. 20 years. Like I said, I started this at 17. So when we talk about our stories up here, for me and for most of us as publishers, we're really talking about a lifetime, right? Been doing it so long that I don't remember not doing Parle, right? And this clicker will click on you. Other opportunities and things that we're working on, Parle Endeavors and Parle New York. I'll talk about those very briefly. Parle Endeavors is a nonprofit organization spun off from Parle Magazine. I launched it last year. Essentially, our goal is to provide that mentorship. Although I left education, like I said, I continue to do the work. So we've been doing mentorship with we also have a scholarship and a grant program. So this year we're doing 4 scholarships, 4 grants. for young people who want to pursue careers in media, don't know where to start, don't know how to start. Again, started at 17, so for me, my passion and one of my passions is making sure that young people also have the power and the opportunity to start something if they so choose and know how to do it. So in addition to providing them with the scholarships and grants, we're also pairing them up with a mentor as well. Today, we are doing our Team Poetry Slam series. It launches today in New York. So there's a team today in Brooklyn, in Harlem, in the Bronx. It's a citywide event for young people. We're giving away $1,000 at the end of it. That's the grand prize, but $2,500 in total prize money to young people who are performing throughout this series. Parle New York, the website's already locked in. It's parlenewyork.com. That is an opportunity to continue to tell these stories, to do it on a local level, to highlight local businesses, local organizations, local people that people should know about, that young people should know about, an opportunity for young people to continue to see what we're doing. This will also lead us to our 20th anniversary print issues. We started in print, so we're going to go back to that next year with 6 special edition issues bi-monthly. We'll be distributing those at restaurants, local organizations, and at all of our anniversary events. Sponsorship partnering is a great way to work with us on either sponsoring or partnering with us on those scholarships and those grants, or Parle New York, or any of the 20th anniversary events that we're doing next year. I'd love to continue the conversation. We could talk about our capabilities. We could go over some of these numbers in depth. I could tell you a bit more about myself. You know, I'm a Capricorn. Whatever you need to know, we can talk about it. But essentially, definitely want to continue this conversation and continue to have opportunities to discuss how we can grow, how we can leverage this 20 years of credibility, consistency, and access, and this audience. Look forward to discussing.
I need to get that collector's edition print next year. Next up, we have Watch the Yard from Jonathan.
Hey, everybody. My name's Jonathan. Yeah. Huh? Oh, yeah, do a dance. Hey, everybody. My name's Jonathan Rabb, and think of me as your secret weapon to reaching the black community. So before we start this presentation, I want to ask the black people in the crowd to raise your hands, right? How many of you are a member of a black fraternity or sorority? How many of you know members of black fraternities or sororities? How many of you went to an HBCU? How many of you know people who go to HBCUs and tell you about their HBCU all the time? Okay, and how many of you went to college? Okay, you're basically all in my audience. Okay, so that's just the reach. But my name's Jonathan Rabb, and I'm here to talk to you about Watch the Yard. Watch the Yard is the digital home for black college culture. Am I hitting the right button?
The Yard is dynamic. It isn't just line jackets and strolling, it's more. It's where our culture runs deep. The energy is just different. And the history of our traditions is preserved through excellence, service, and legacy. This experience transcends the Yard. So Watch the Yard created a space to celebrate it, to share it with a community that loves and respects it.
Okay. So Watch the Yard is a media ecosystem that includes watchtheyard.com, our website, a large social media following, as well as in-person and live activations across the country. Our audience is made up of three things. So unlike others in the space that only focus on HBCUs, Watch the Yard focuses on all of Black college culture. Our audience brings together three groups, the three groups that I named earlier. Students and alumni from HBCUs, Black fraternity and sorority members, graduate and alumni, and Black students and alumni at predominantly white institutions like private and state schools across the country. These groups, before Watch the Yard, had no single communal place to exchange ideas, information, and media. Because of this breadth, our audience is not just focused on the Southeast, where most HBCUs are located. We're the biggest player in the Black college space because we reach Black people in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, in addition to those in DC and Atlanta, as this map shows. While there are 107 HBCUs, there are 4,000 colleges and universities in the United States, and our platform reaches Black people at all of them. Watch the Yard reaches Black students at Yale, Iowa State University, and Berkeley with the same effectiveness that it reaches students at FAMU, Hampton, and Howard. That means our influence extends to rural areas, suburbs, college towns across the country, and we can get your brand in front of all of those eyes. When our audience of Black college students graduate, they become doctors, lawyers, teachers, creatives, politicians, and entrepreneurs. In other words, they become leaders in the Black community, mentors, tastemakers, and everything in between. We even got Shaq on here. They're upwardly mobile and affluent and have money to spend on products, services, and experiences. They're a market that matters, and they're highly visible. Watch the Yard's audience is built on trusted networks of brothers and sisters, teachers and students, mentors and mentees that have existed in the Black community for over 100 years. They make up a global network that turns to one another for advice, referrals, and recommendations because they respect one another's opinions and have a front seat into each other's lives. Our audience trusts one another's expertise, and they come to Watch the Yard to exchange insight with the people who matter to them most. So their line brothers, their line sisters, and their family. Across our platform, we have a lot of followers. We reach over 15 million people monthly, and we meet our audience where they are across the internet. We have over 1.8 million followers on social media and extremely engaged Instagram following. You can go to our Instagram now and look at the comments. Each post is getting, 200, 300 comments on them. And a unique, powerful pipeline to Gen Z with almost 1 million followers on TikTok, our fastest growing online presence. We're so successful at what we do that the NAACP has called us a central digital voice for today's Black experience. So here's some more information about the breakdown of our audience. Our audience is made up mostly of Black women. It's 64% Black women, 36% Black men. We also have a massive multi-generational reach, which I mentioned because a common misconception is that because we focus on Black college life, our audience is only Black college students. But Black fraternity and sorority members and HBCU graduates become even more involved as they age, and so that sets them apart. Our audience is not just college students, they're professionals, parents, and even grandparents. And because our ecosystem includes our website, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, we're able to customize our advertising approach based on your target consumer demographic. So, our audience is on, our content supports our audience on their collective lifelong journey through major milestones of life. And those milestones include, getting to college, the first day of school, graduation, going to their first internship, their first job in a new city, marriage, starting a family, career advancement, and eventually, hopefully, sending their own kids to college. And that's where you come in. Watch the Yard offers a space to authentically introduce your brand to our audience as they get prepared for their next stages of life. These are multidimensional people who have multidimensional needs, and our portfolio of partners reflects that. We've partnered with organizations and companies across tech, media, and entertainment, consumer goods, and the nonprofit sector, helping them strengthen their relationship with the Black community, demonstrate their company's commitment to diversity, and meet their target consumer where they're at. So we've worked with all of these brands in the last 2 years, actually. And we're so successful at what we do that even the White House comes to watch the yard when they want to engage the Black community. They call us a lot. They actually text us about stuff on Saturdays at 2 in the morning. We were chosen as streaming partners during campaign season, streaming partners for the inauguration, and for pandemic outreach because we reach the heart of the Black community and because we deliver results. We have earned a reputation of authenticity, effectiveness, and reach. Now let's talk about some of the ways that we can help your brand reach our audience. One of the main reasons companies come to us is because they want to get the word out about their existing HBCU or diversity initiatives, whether it be securing students for your HBCU hackathon like we did for Zillow in September, building awareness for your work on HBCU campuses like we did for Home Depot in February, or announcing collaboration projects with HBCU influencers like we did for Nike in the fall. We can present your initiatives in front of the people who care and want to engage with them the most. Our display advertising on our website is also a powerful way to get the word out about your brand, services, and products. We bring in over 130 monthly uniques and up to 2 million ad impressions monthly. Here's an example of the real estate that's available and what it looks like when Home Depot took over our platform earlier this fall. Let's present your brand next to positive stories of the Black community. We can also use sponsored articles to showcase your initiatives, build awareness, as well as create thought leadership around your products and verticals. And we have an extremely strong social media following and a strong track record for branded contests, challenges, and giveaways. Leaning on our unique ability to inspire collaboration, creativity, and engagement from our audience and help them feel excited and connected to your brand. Since the pandemic started, Instagram has come to us to run their HBCU homecoming season outreach. And so our HBCU drip-off challenge that we created for them, it was actually really cool. So the idea was during the pandemic, you couldn't go to HBCU homecomings, and HBCU homecomings are kind of where you go and you look really good, and your ex sees you from undergrad, and you look, you know what I mean? You stun on your ex. So what we did was we had everybody be able to do that, and we had them show what they would wear if they were gonna go. So the first one we did with them in 2021 brought in over 1.6 million views in 24 hours. And it went so well that Instagram came back to us the next year, and we did it again, and we reached 2.5 million views. So this is really good. And because we have access to and relationships with student groups, schools, and alumni chapters across the United States, these are groups that meet in person. Like, this is not just digital, they meet in person and we have connection to them. We're poised for live activations with local buy-in. So we've hosted film competitions in Atlanta for Google for Startups, and we host this really, really cool, it's a job conference called YardCon, where we brought in, the last YardCon we did was in partnership with Advertising Week, and we brought in 3,000 attendees. We had Black students representing 695 different colleges and universities, so everything from Yale to like Long Beach University. And we did 500,000 social impressions, and 18,000 hours of content were watched. Beyonce's choreographer showed up and talked to the students, and we also had Byron Allen talk for an hour straight. So it was so it's on brand. And because we have multiple, because we have because there are multiple touch points throughout the year, there's always an authentic way for us to help you engage our audience. So from back to school to Black History Month, spring break to graduation, you pick a season, you come to me, and I can find an authentic way for you to engage our audience. There's like literally any time around the year, there's something going on, and we can bring your brand in super authentically. I really enjoyed presenting to you guys all today. My name's Jonathan Rabb. Come up to me and ask me how I can specifically have your brand successfully engage my audience. Nice to meet you.
Next up, we have Lucy from the Luz Collective.
Okay, all right. I got some good news and some good news. Maybe some bad news too. Good news, we are at the tail end of this. Other good news, there is a taco bar waiting on the other side. And I had absolutely nothing to do with it. Nothing. At least I don't think. Or maybe it's just this influence I'm about to talk to you about. Bad news is that there's still me and two more. So we got this. We got this. All right? We're doing this. All right. I'm Lucy Flores. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Luz Media. We are a Latina culture and lifestyle media brand. Where is my clicker? Literally, where did I put this thing? Okay, here we go. All right. Let me tell you about us.
We are 30 million strong, but too often in the shadows. We are 1 in 5 women in the U.S. and still absent from the media. We are transformational, sustaining America on our shoulders and yet invisible. But no more. The time has come to emerge from the shadows and into the light, to acknowledge Latina accomplishments, elevate our voices, tell our stories, unleash our economic potential. Luz Collective is empowering Latinas to bring forth the type of change that can benefit us all, benefit America. Through authentic, positive storytelling that Latinas can trust, events that build community and cement long-term connections, and culturally relevant products that celebrate the Latina experience. Nothing will stop the Latina revolution. Join us, join us, join us. Luz Collective, Mujeres Fueling Change.
Okay, work with us, done. Yay. JK. I got a little bit more for you. Okay, 1 in 5 women currently, Latinas in the US. By 2060, it will be 1 in 3 identifying as Latinas. What is important here is that Latinas are all races. Latinas are indigenous. Latinas are Black and Afro-Latina. They are white and white passing. They're brown like me. We don't even have a box to check. And the brands that understand this are the brands that are going to be the most successful in reaching this community. And so if this isn't obvious why brands should be engaging with this community now, let me just highlight a couple of things. 1, Latinas are more digitally engaged than their non-Latina counterparts. They spend 22 hours online versus 19. They choose brands and companies that appeal to them through their culture. One size fits all is not going to work. The more in tune and in touch and culturally competent you are with this audience, the better that you are going to be able to connect with this audience. And they represent more than $700 billion in purchasing power today. This is where that purchasing power is concentrated. Latinos are all over the country and in all the territories, but this is where that economic density is located, and it is in these Latino high density areas of the country. But again, they are all over. Got to point it in this direction. And Luz can help you tap into this power. How? We are different in a couple of different ways. How are we different from brands that you may recognize, Univision, Telemundo, etc.? We are different in a couple of different ways. One is that we go beyond the stereotypes and superficial topics, and we take a deeper, intelligent approach to our content, segmented by generation. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this and why that's important. We highlight things like entrepreneurship, growth, explore ideas, and present perspectives that educate and empower our audience and help them personally and professionally. And our approach is replicated across our content ecosystem, which means that we publish hundreds of original pieces monthly, and that gives us then this ecosystem of continuous insights and learnings that many, we'll say other folks that are also talking to Latinas that are not Latina owned don't have the insights and the competence that we do. Which means that just this year alone, we're close to 10 million organic impressions across our ecosystem and an 8% engagement rate. Another second really important way in which we're different, we are English dominant. And the reason why is because Latinos quickly acculturate. So even in the first generation of immigrants that are here in the United States and are either recently arriving or have been here for many years, that first gen is still only 1/4 of those folks are Spanish dominant. That is how they're primarily communicating. Once you get into second gen, that's me, that's all the children of immigrants, literally only about 13% of that community, the super majority of this community, is primarily communicating in Spanish. Once you get into third gen, that's my children. Actually, I'm Team Parle. I don't have any kids, but you know, kids of the other people that have the kids, they are less than 1% of them are primarily communicating in Spanish. So they're not going to places like Univision. They're going to places like Luz Collective, Luz Media. And just to drive home the point, Gen Z, millennials, and young Gen Xers aren't regularly engaging with these brands. Again, you can see here by the second generation, about 1/4 of them are still engaging with a Spanish language media brand. And that's because, you know, we like our telenovelas just like everybody else, but you know, it's the culture part, not necessarily the engaging with the media part. So the way that we reach this audience is that we cater to this multidimensionality through multidimensional products. We have the Luz Media side, which is where we're doing our original storytelling and our content production through multi-channel, multimedia distribution, and an adjacent Luz digital community where we are also producing original content, events in real life and digital, and providing networking opportunities for this community. And the really amazing thing here is that it completes the ecosystem. We're turning readers into members, into an engaged community that is traveling across these multi-touch points that we have created for them. And so Latinas then feel like they have a home, they have a place where they can see themselves reflected, where frankly, we are so underserved currently in the media ecospace that there just really isn't that many options. So frankly, like, we don't even have to be that great to be successful because there just isn't that much out there. But we are amazing, and therefore that's why we do so well. So that means that this is good for you because we are then that bridge. We can connect you with that direct, authentic access to Latinas in that culturally competent way with a voice that the community trusts. We are that bridge. And you can see here that in terms of who we're reaching and where we're reaching them, those top cities are going to correlate with that high density, high economic spend that we talked about earlier. Our audience demographics are aligning with those second, third generation English dominant Latinas that not a whole lot of people are talking to right now. Which means that our audience is vastly misunderstood by traditional media, by mainstream media. But the truth is that the Luz audience are entrepreneurs. We're outpacing the total US population in new business creation. We're becoming more and more educated. Latina college graduation rates have increased faster. Me and Watch the Yard, we're gonna do some stuff because multicultural is a thing. Driving population, Latina birth rates drove over half of the US population. This is not immigration that is driving this population. It's the other people that are making the babies. So that is 54% of that growth came from US domestic birth rates. And because of that, they're becoming more civically engaged. So Latinas consistently are more progressive than their Latino counterparts, and influencing elections and influencing the trajectory of this country in ways that we all really need to be tapping into. This is our ecosystem with our luzmedia.co, our website, as our anchor. It's our owned and operated, and you can see we're across the social ecosystem plus our adjacent Luz member community. And because we're creating this authentic content in ways that this community understands, it ends up with this really incredible organic audience growth. Just year to date, we have seen a 33% increase in our audience, all organic. And here are the ways to plug in. I'm not going to go into a ton of slides on the various ways that we have worked with different brands and organizations. I want to instead just highlight that we do all of the things that most of these media companies do, and that we are incredibly case specific. We have the capabilities to work with each one of you in a way that best serves you. And frankly, the Latina audience is so diverse and it is so different that this truly is the only way to properly work with brands. Because at the end of the day, everyone does need something that is entirely personalized for your brand. And we are the ones who are able to do that for you. And you are closer to your taco bar now. Join us.
Next up, Corey, Culturebanx.
Start over here so people can see me. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see so many familiar faces in the room today. For those who are not aware, I am Corey Hale, and my company, Culturebanx, creates stock market-driven business news for hip-hop culture by leveraging music. It's all geared towards the African-American community. And our cultural innovation literacy, it enhances our highly engaged Culturebanx audience members to make trusted financial decisions in their daily lives. But let me run it back for a second and tell you guys exactly how we got started and why Culturebanx is the behemoth of a great business news platform that it is today. So, I remember when I first decided to get into media, right? I decided to leave my lucrative finance job, and I was gonna pursue this career path to inject diversity into business news, and that was going to be wonderful. So when I was at Goldman Sachs, I kept getting my thoughts stuck between the TV above my head on the trading floor and the spreadsheet shouting back at me at my computer screen and trying to make sense of it all for people like me. And by that, I mean people who had regular good corporate jobs, but still like to turn up to hip hop and R&B. I think actually the rapper 2 Chainz said it best. Pretty girls like trap music. And 2 Chainz, I could not agree with you more. He didn't say it personally to me, but I took it as a personal thing at the time. But in the midst of this daydream and still trying to make it make sense, that's when it dawned on me, my goodness, we've got to incorporate music with business news because that's where the authentic connection is going to come from. And that, folks, is how I decided I could personally, through Culturebanx, bring Wall Street to Main Street in a meaningful and authentic way by leveraging music. And our audience, I can tell you, they love it day in and day out because they're always coming back to our website specifically. And along my path to really doing the research to figure out how is it that Culturebanx is going to connect with our audience members, well, the numbers speak for themselves. But I can tell you, our audience survey, more than 80% of those people surveyed from our audience, they are going to come to Culturebanx and do their research about the different types of topics that we cover before they decide to engage with a brand specifically. And just by a show of hands in the room, how many of you guys know that Black people listen to the radio more than any other ethnic demographic? Anyone? Okay, some people in the back knew that, all right, right here as well. Okay, well, that number, folks, is 13 hours per week, far outpacing any other ethnic demographic. Let me break down exactly why this matters. When you add that component in with the music, along with the fact that Pew Research found that 66% of Black business news consumers and viewers actually decide to make a purchase or engage with content after they read something online, it becomes very, very powerful. Not to mention, and I'm not bearing the lead here, everyone, that the Black consumer spending power is going to be $1.7 trillion in 2030. So I'm talking about the music, the fact that we outpace in that area. I'm talking about the fact that Black viewers of news content are more willing to take action than other demographic and ethnic groups, and the fact that that $1.7 trillion in consuming spending power makes us bigger than the GDP of Mexico. It actually would make us the 5th largest GDP globally. That's people that you want to be in front of, trust me, folks. So my media company, Culturebanx, what we do here is we cover business, finance, tech, innovation news, all told through a culturally attuned lens that you can only get at Culturebanx with our audience. And our audience, not only are they smart, they're also people that have money to spend. That average household income of $155,000, I assure you, there's a fair amount of that that's discretionary, and they'd probably like to spend on your brands, products, and services if they know about them from the trusted source, which is Culturebanx. Our audience is exclusive. The reason that we are exclusive is because there is no place else that you're gonna be able to go get the type of business news content where we're leveraging music in this authentic way other than Culturebanx. And as you can see on the screen behind me, we are everywhere that culture is permeating at the highest levels, which is exactly where our audience and where our brand partners expect us to be. Some of those places include our in-person experience and activations that we do with many brands that you can see some of them on your screen behind me. We love to do these type of events to bring our audience and community members together, not just so that they can obviously network with one another, so that they can get a true understanding and meaning of the partners who care to connect with them in an attainable and authentic, meaningful way. And I'd love to just show you guys really quickly a taste of what some of these in-person experiences are like.
There's so much Black wealth and talent that's on the vineyard during the month of August.
Yes, so Culturebanx, we are a business news, actually the leading Black business news company. Think CNBC meets Spotify's Rap Caviar playlist. Like, that is Culturebanx in a nutshell.
In changing the narrative with a lot of these big companies, these corporations, and giving us those opportunities in diversifying that people of color can handle this type of wealth.
There's excitement around those numbers because there's opportunity, but there's also disappointment because of the system we created that excludes certain people.
And I think the financial resources that are available to us, if we start talking about it and implementing it into our lives, then it's gonna really change what we can do as a culture for each other.
So it's not just our highly engaging in-person activations, but it's also our cross-platform approach that we use not just with Culturebanx, but some of our partners that we leverage like Forbes and NASDAQ. Take, for example, what you see on your screen right now, which this is something that we did with our partner last year around the same event that many of us are gathered this weekend for in Tulsa around Black Wall Street. We did it with Public.com, and if you're not familiar with them, they are a trading app like Robinhood, where we decided to do a full-scale campaign across not just our newsletter, not just audio and video, but also pushing our partners to really be able to tell this multifaceted story of Culturebanx. And you can see this yielded 1.7 million impressions and more than 100,000 editorial page views. It's things like this and more that we can do for your brands as well to get in front of our audience. Our partnership opportunities, they are very robust. And we've worked with several different companies, both national and for-profit organizations. And it's not just the fact that we've been able to work with them, it's the fact that they are repeat clients for Culturebanx, right? We have done things multi-years with companies like General Motors, like UBS, and Facebook. This is just a slight menu offering of the ways in which you can connect with Culturebanx. If it's not just the live activations that get you all stirred up, you're like, we want a Culturebanx site takeover. I'm like, yeah, we got you. Like, we do all of that and some. So this is just a little snippet of the menu. And of course, afterwards, you guys can holler at me about ways in which we can work together. And so now, I just want to challenge all of you to imagine what we can do as a community of tastemakers, trendsetters, stakeholders, and yes, I see lots of decision makers in the room today to really get in front of the Culturebanx financially savvy business news consumer in a way that's truly authentic. And it's not only going to drive sales revenue for your brand, but create repeat customers. So I'm going to leave you all with this. It's time for you all to connect with the Black business news consumer and that $1.7 trillion in spending power, because the Culturebanx business news audience member is ready to become your customer. Thank you.
Everybody take a deep breath. All right. Our final presenter before we take a break, Marie Leggett, the Curvy Fashionista.
My name is Marie Dene, and I'm the creator and founder of TheCurvy Fashionista. Who are we? Well, let me tell you. TCF is the leading 100% dedicated plus-size media and plus-size and lifestyle digital platform, catering to the 67% of women in the United States. But did you know that she only has access to shop 8% of the stores, offline and in person? 8%, right? I heard a oomph back there, yes. So where does she shop? Where does she go? She shops online. And this is part of the reason why I created the Curvy Fashionista. It's not clicking. There we go. You see, TCF is for us, by us, created by plus-size people, for plus-size people. Our content, community, and conversations deliver an experience of trust and loyalty for an audience that cannot be duplicated anywhere else. We're here to inspire, educate, and celebrate every plus-size woman to know that their style is not defined by their size, that their smarts can't be confined to their shape, and a number really means nothing unless we're talking about bank accounts. Our connection has allowed for us to cultivate over 878,000 fans, followers, and subscribers. We have what I like to call an Oprah audience, extremely diverse in age, race, gender, and size. With that, we have driven over 91 million impressions on Pinterest, over 41 million organic search impressions on Google, and that was just last year. Our readers are digitally native shoppers who are hypersensitive to the brands they do see and the brands that they don't see. So they do pay attention when a brand is not supporting a plus-size platform. You see, we've we have positioned ourselves to be the market movers in the plus size space. The community comes to the Curvy Fashionista for validation and confirmation. So they will see news outside, and they will come back to the community to make sure that it's real, who's talking about it, and if it matters. With that, we've also realized that TCF influences the influencers. So how do we make it work? Well, we provide a 360 approach to with our community. That's the people, the brands, and the professionals to engage, educate, and empower them. Through content, events, social media, and our membership platform, the TCF Style Lounge, we are able to establish, build, and nurture relationships with readers who have been with us, for example, since 8th grade, all the way up through their first job, and many other life milestones. And we've worked with some really amazing brands along the way. And from this list, we have worked with over 70% of these brands more than one time. Let's take my suit that I'm wearing. My suit is from this brand called Eloquy. And Eloquy is a brand that we have worked with multiple different times, multiple different ways, to the point that we are actually featured and highlighted in their pitch deck as they have pitched. They were recently acquired by Walmart, and then now were recently acquired by Full Beauty. But our open letter, our impact, just to show you, our open letter really helped them relaunch their brand. They use us as an example, just to give an example of our relationships. And we don't only just work with brands inside the fashion space, we also work with brands outside in lifestyle. We've worked with brands such as Olay, Always, Chevy, Walmart, and Big Fig Mattress. For example, in one of our events, we've worked with, one of our partners was Chevy, who was a partner for our expo. And we created video, a dedicated article, to illustrate the features of the car and how it integrated into our lives, especially with this Chevy Equinox. So let us share, wait, did it move? There we go. So let us share our brand, your brand story and messaging with our audience. We have the option to create key item content roundups, themed content series, and we can also bring in thematic content to support your campaigns. We are perfectly positioned to be consultative and show you how we can align the brand with the needs of our audience. There we go. Let's talk ads. We leverage programmatic and in-house options to help you deliver your message to a captive audience. We have the capabilities to drill down and track events via Google to track events that they take on our site. We also leverage pre and post surveys that can track brand awareness and affinity. We do have 3 different types of video content series on our site. We have Curvy Boss, which speaks directly to the professionals who are making an impact in their respective communities. We have Closet Confessions, which this is actually our TCF closet. It's a wall-to-wall closet, and brands send us items and we display them. And this is actually where we do unboxings, Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives. We really interact with the community here. And our 1 Minute of Style, which is an edited video that shows our audience the ways to wear different products and how to style them for their bodies. But we do also have the capabilities of creating custom video as well. Speaking of that 360 approach, we have the ability to also create and execute an influencer campaign in addition to your media buy so that you don't have to. You can activate the TCF Style network of influential fashion and lifestyle creators for branded social and digital content to extend the reach of your campaign beyond TCF-owned properties. Here we have worked with Anthropology, Big Fig Mattress, and Skims. These are 3 different campaigns we've worked with. And coming in September, coming back is our Facebook Live series turned podcast. Speaking of Curves is hosted by myself, and it is an audio and visual series that will highlight the top stories, and hot topics as it pertains to the plus size person. So each week, a special guest will accompany me, and we will chat around these topics. We'll get real. We'll have a little fun, and we get a little sassy and saucy. That's what we're here to do, right? We're having fun. So this is launching in September. I'm really excited about this because I miss getting into the conversations. But let's talk about what really gets our community excited. You see, the plus size person, our community, has been relegated to live online, right? So she can't shop in person really, and we're fighting, the bias over sizeism and all of that. But what happens is whenever there's a chance, she's outside. She's socializing, engaging, and she's shopping. Since our inaugural event, TCF Turns 3, we've successfully executed cruises, brunches, expos, pool parties, and even mastermind days. Let us show you how you can amplify your media buy with our events on the marketing side. Here you have the chance to extend the value and impact on your media spend through our events and additional marketing opportunities. TCFX is the next chapter of events, bringing our signature TCF Style Expo event to multiple different locations. TCFX brings all the most fashion-forward brands, retailers, digital and social media influencers, and fashion enthusiasts of TCF into one place. Our past expos have generated over 7 million impressions on Instagram and Twitter each year. We've integrated content, videos, and social into each event, giving an immersive experience to each attendee and brand. Here we have the Cultivate Awards. The Cultivate Award was created to highlight and celebrate indie designers of color. Through an awards program and a live stream finale showcase, we've been able to provide 2 independent designers for the last 2 years. We've been able to provide them a $10,000 prize, a capsule collection. This is the capsule collection, y'all. I'm really proud of that. A capsule collection and a year of business mentorship. This event has driven over 221 million media impressions and secured national press in Women's Wear Daily, The Business of Fashion, and more. The TCF Style Brunch Series is another level of our TCF events, bringing our signature connection to a more personalized, local level, a little bit more intentional. Here you can engage influencers, designers, fashion enthusiasts, and the plus size community in an impactful way. We've highlighted, oh, it didn't play? I'm talking. Why is it not playing? Here we've highlighted each sponsor in our video. We give them dedicated articles and have featured them in our newsletters and social media. Just want to give a little bit more because I was supposed to be talking while it was playing. All right. So we are bringing back what started off our event journey with a monumental milestone, TCF Turns 15. This plus-size holiday ball is an event giving back to the community and celebrating how TCF has supported and shown up for the community all these years. Brands will be able to partake in celebrations through key activations, content series, and opportunities to engage the community in memorable ways. New for 2023 and 24, we are hosting a lunch in Hollywood during the award season to celebrate and acknowledge those who are bringing visibility to the plus size person. This live stream lunch will have an in-conversation component, will include red carpet video, content series and social media integration, and this event could be presented by your brand. The Future 50, here we are excited to bring an engaging content series to celebrate those who are driving the future of plus size fashion forward. With an interactive platform on the site, we would create a list of those 50 change makers, thought leaders, taste makers, table shakers, and style makers. Editorial and video content would support this by category. Curious? Excited? Well, let's work together and let TCF introduce you to the 67%. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much for those amazing and inspiring presentations. Next up, I just want to give a couple of acknowledgments, and then we're going to break, as Lucy mentioned, for tacos. It's a taco party. A few folks that I want to acknowledge are just, there were a lot of folks who really showed up for these entrepreneurs over the course of this program. Some of them are here today. Obviously, it was Ranisha and Devon. It was Samantha from Collab. It was Marcia and Trivia at Cinematica. And also, I had to acknowledge Alfred Edmond from Black Enterprise. So he was our entrepreneur residence and literally showed up for these entrepreneurs every day in every session in every way. Sam Dolliner at Cargo was showing up on a regular and like going deep on the back end, the technical piece of what it takes to really support brands of your scale, right? Bella at Undertone, who is showing up, and she's going to be a deep part of this in the future. Colin Coggins, Marcus Collins, and many others who were here and who were actually showing up. Vanessa Vining, these are folks, Shayla at Dentsu and Brianne at GM. These were folks who were showing up for these entrepreneurs. They have full-time jobs and all these responsibilities that they have to attend to, and they really showed up, right? And so for this cohort too that's going to be coming up, for those of you in the room who want to show up and get involved before these amazing presentation day, come and see me. Because we really appreciate that engagement, because it takes this whole community in this village for this actually to work, and for all of you and all of these publisher voices to be lifted.
Well, a big key, and thank you, Shane, for everything. We don't have time to talk about everything, but everything. Yeah, I'm not in any way here because of a plan that I had. I'm a proud graduate of Rutgers University, Rutgers College. Degrees actually in studio art. I'm a trained visual artist. Got involved in the Black student movement at Rutgers. At the time when I was at Rutgers, I graduated in 1983. The two most influential positions you could have as a black student on campus was chair of the Black Student Congress, which I was for a year, and editor-in-chief of the Black Voice Carta Boricua, which is a Black and Latino-focused weekly newspaper talking about changed mediums at the time. And that experience, becoming editor-in-chief of the Black Voice Carta Boricua, which, by the way, I got dragged kicking and screaming to. I didn't want to do that either. Was what changed my life in terms of what I wanted to do with my life for a living. But I never studied it, I just did it. I learned how to do it. I learned by doing it and being taught by people who did it well. But it also set the tone for a couple of things that are key to the things that you said about me, and especially during my tenure at Black Enterprise. I am media, what my CEO and boss, Butch Graves, calls media agnostic. I don't really care what the tool or the weapon is. Since I didn't study traditional journalism, I was never locked into I'm a TV person or I'm a radio person. Or I'm a magazine person or a newspaper person. I was like, you give me the weapon, I want to know how to use it, because the goal is to inform and empower, in my case, black people, but people in general. And so that was the foundation that led to me coming to Black Enterprise. And I don't take credit for a lot. I mean, 99% of the credit goes to our late founder, Earl Graves Sr. But what he did is he got young people. I was 26 when I got to Black Enterprise. He'd hire really young people, and he would just get the F out of our way. He was like, I got you here because you're smart, you're going to make mistakes, but I'm going to let you loose. So I was part of now I'm the oldest guy in the company. I'm crazy. But at the time, I was part of this young cohort of 20-somethings that he would hire and just let us, he gave us guidelines for what Black Enterprise stood for, but beyond that, he let us do what we wanted to do. So the two things that I will take credit for, I was the first person at Black Enterprise to really dive deep into social media, even though I didn't know what it was going to mean. I was telling you in the hallway, I'm talking about blackplanet.com, the original hood of the internet, long before I knew it was going to mean anything. I mean, I just thought wow, another way to share information and resources with people that was direct and immediate. I didn't know what it was going to mean. A few years later, in 2004, I think me and the editor of Business Week were the first magazine editors, I was editor-in-chief of the magazine by that time, to represent our brands on social media. Like, that was unheard. It was like a personal thing, but not a business thing. But that commitment to social media early on, before I knew what it was going to mean, turned out to be really important for Black enterprise when brands wanted you to have a way to amplify their messages via social media. We were positioned for it long before we knew. The other big step was at the height of, quote unquote, when we were at the height of the magazine game as a media brand, Black Enterprise Magazine, and at the height of my career, my 13th year as editor-in-chief of Black Enterprise Magazine, I got an epiphany on catching the bus into the city from my house in West Orange that I should step down from the magazine and become the first editor-in-chief of blackenterprise.com, and literally texted Butch Graves, my boss, and said, I want to leave this position and take that position. Just out of the blue, I didn't even talk to anybody about it. And that led to me helping to lead Black enterprise into the digital age. And if we hadn't done that, we would have been out of business, period.
That's incredible. And I know you went on to do a number of things even after that, right? Chief Content Officer. And you spent an enormous amount of time with these entrepreneurs and other entrepreneurs, you know what I mean? In the way you pay it forward and mentor folks. That was a choice. You chose not to be Chief Content Officer of Black Enterprise. Why did you make that decision?
I've always been this way. I mean, I was born like this. My mother said I was allergic to boredom. So I'm good at everything I do because I like to work. I like to learn. I'm okay with sucking at something until I get good at it. Like, a lot of people never get good at stuff because if they're not good at it the first time they do it, they don't think they're supposed to do it. I'm just cool with, I suck, but I like this. I'm gonna learn how to do it, and then I master it. And that had been my modus operandi long before I knew I was gonna be a journalist. So, you're right, I was the first Chief Content Officer for Black Enterprise, but when Chief Content Officers were new, because there was never a need for one. You didn't have these multiple platforms. But it just goes back to this idea that once you master something, you can either stay there or you can start all over and become a student again. And I'm passionate about this idea of being a student. Being a student is more important than mastery. I'm passionate about mentorship. I've been mentoring since I was in my 20s, when I came out of college feeling under-mentored and decided I was going to not have the people coming behind me knowing less than I did. And so my passion for mentorship, my passion for my mentees in BOMESI, we first got to know each other really well through Black Ambition, where I was a mentor to a cohort there, and I got an army of mentees. I'm just passionate about being poured into and then pouring into others. That's my thing. And my other thing is, I could take any group of motivated people, no matter what their agenda, no matter what their motivations, no matter what their background, and I can put together a team that wins. That's what I learned running my college paper. You have to learn how to motivate people beyond what they're getting paid to do, because when you're motivating people in college, they're not getting paid. So how do you make people show up, do great work, get it done on time? That was the drug. Like, I was been a good writer and content producer since I was 5 years old. I could always do that. I wasn't attracted to this because I wanted a byline. My first time building and running a team and knowing it was better than every other team, that was the drug that still drives me today. And so when we work with this team, the people we heard from today, to me, they may not play on the exact same team, but they're on the BOMESI team, and I know that they're the best because that's what we do. So that's what drives everything that you've talked about so far.
So you brought us right into BOMESI, which is what I really want to dive into now, right? I shared a little bit about what it means to me. For me, being someone who was told that, no, there's just not an opportunity there, right? You just don't understand that, the Black community does not drive business. And I think folks have now realized that that is the opposite of the truth, right? And it's been a long journey for me to really get there, where it felt like there was a little bit of critical mass of folks who understand the enormity of this opportunity from a business standpoint and from an equity standpoint, right? And a justice standpoint. Like, all of those are hand in hand. And that's why I'm so honored to be part of what Davon and Ranisha have built, because this is the opportunity right here. This is critical mass reaching that momentum and harnessing it and pointing it in a direction that I want this world to go. You know, I want my kids to grow up in and have voices that look like them, that are in the front of the room, that are behind the cameras, that are instrumenting and making the decisions and have ownership. And all that, like, that's me, right? I get excited about BOMESI. What does it mean to you? You know, you were there in the early days of Black enterprise. You know what it took to get that off the ground. And compare that to, like, what does BOMESI mean for you today?
Well, slight correction, I'm not that old. I mean, Black Enterprise. Black Enterprise was founded by the late Earl Graves Sr. in 1970. I was 10 years old. But I've been there a long time. I mean, I'm in my 36th year at Black Enterprise. So in fairness, most of the transitions, the key transitions, you're right, I was there for. And here's what I know as someone who, without intentionally doing it, has worked in Black, or what we call diverse media from day one. Again, my first time running a publication in college, it was a Black and Latino newspaper at a PWI. And then I started my career at Black newspapers in Brooklyn. I ran the largest Black weekly in Brooklyn when I was like 25, 26 for 2.5 years. Then transitioned to my first magazine job, which is the only job that was really on my intended career path. I was the editor-in-chief of a magazine called Modern Black Men. Not editor-in-chief, excuse me. I was a senior editor. I was the number 2 editor there. My original career goal was to get to GQ or Esquire. I wanted to be the first Black editor of GQ or Esquire. But my point is, what I learned along the way, it's not that mainstream / white media or the advertising industry, it's not true. They know that Black people drive business. The challenge is getting them to pay for it. It's like when it was free for the first 200 years or 300 or 400 years, it was like the idea that I actually have to invest money to reach that market, that I have to actually cater to them, that I have to talk to them, that I have to pay for it. You're telling me I got to spend money with these media entrepreneurs? Like, why? I didn't have to, you know, and that's the battle that, you know, John Johnson, the founder of Ebony, started fighting, nearly 100 years ago now. That's the battle that Earl Graves, the founder of Black Enterprise, or Clarence Smith and Ed Lewis did with Essence in 1970, the same year Black. That's the battle. It's getting them to say, one, you should pay to reach our market, and two, you should pay at the same rate that you would pay to reach white people. That whatever money you would spend to reach white people of that same demographic, that same level of college education, that same income level, you should pay us to reach those audiences in the same way. And that's the battle that's been fought. It's the business side. Nobody disputes really that Black people can talk to Black people more effectively than other people, or that Latino women can talk to Latino women more effectively than everybody else. Nobody disputes that. What they dispute is, should I actually have to pay you when I can go through a larger entity that reaches all of you? Why should I have to go through your door and pay for the privilege of going through your door? And that's the battle that we fight. That part. I mean, here's what really got me. When I came to Black Enterprise, I figured I'd do 2 years and then get on my way to Esquire GQ, where I was going, because I want to be fly, and I want to be in Paris, and I want to be, this is a dress down day for me, just letting y'all know. I mean, the way I am is the way I've been, as I told a couple of people, since I was 4 years old. That was me. What got me at Black Enterprise, and I was not a business journalist until after I got to Black Enterprise, was recognizing that follow the money and you master every industry. Fashion, sports, comic books, I'm a big comic book guy, movies, And once I realized that money and where the money goes is the key to everything, and by the way, it's the key to the measuring of black progress in America, it's where the money goes. It's not who we get to sit next to in class. It's not what water fountain we get to drink out of. Those are all symptoms, but the core measure of progress or lack of progress in America is where the money goes and who has control of it. And that's what got me hooked at Black Enterprise, and that's what makes me passionate about, in this case, mentoring these diverse media entrepreneurs, because their challenge isn't that they don't have the audience. That's not the problem. Their challenge is not that they don't know how to reach them. Their challenge is not, no, their challenge is, how do I make the case that, one, my audience is worth paying to get access to, and two, how do I build a mechanism to deliver that audience in a way that's profitable for me, that allows me to grow, that allows me to get rich, because black people and Latino people want to get rich too. By the way, we're not just in it for fun. You know, we shouldn't have to apologize for wanting to be millionaires and billionaires, you know. And so all of that is about, you know, can we hire the people that we did hire? Can we pay them competitively? Can we do those things? But it all goes back to getting access to the money, however you measure that.
I mean, I've mentored so many media entrepreneurs in the past who are like, okay, I'm writing the content, I'm supporting the website, I'm tech support, I'm building the CMS, I'm building the decks, I'm doing every job that there is, right?
Right.
So we absolutely need that money to flow, right? So that we can do it on par with these other organizations that may have inherited their wealth to be able to build those platforms. Where are we now? Talk about the media industry today, and why is this the moment that we're actually able to gather a room like this, right?
See, this is where, and you know, I can't stop singing the praises of Devon or Ronisha. I just can't. I know that, you know, again, the late Earl Graves, the late John Johnson, and so many others who didn't make it, by the way. When you talk about Ebony Esselstyn, Black Enterprise, those are the ones that were left standing. I can name publication, including Modern Black Men, that folded the year after I left, not because of me, but because it just couldn't make it. I mean, publication after publication after publication. There were lots of publications for black women that didn't make it. There were other business publications besides black. There were lots, there was a lot of bodies that didn't make it, you know. And so for them, for Mr. Johnson and Mr. Graves to be able to look down and see this room, to see this happening, to know that there's another cohort coming, that there's an ecosystem. When they were just, you know, when they, you know, Mr. Graves and Mr. Johnson and Ed and Clarence, they literally banded together as a band of four and went to pitch for business together because it was just them for the most part. I mean, there was others that came, and now we're sitting in a room. I say all that to say that as challenging as it is, and we know what it took to get here, and bodies, including George Floyd's, were part of the price that was paid to get here. But the fact is that we are here, and I couldn't be more optimistic and excited. And whichever one of y'all is going to end up being the billionaire, just remember, bruh over here. No, but I'm saying that what it says to me is as much as it took to get here, as hard as we had to fight to get here, and I mean all of us, not just the black and brown people, but whoever helped to make this happen, fought for us to make this happen. It pales by comparison about what we're going to see, but it also says everything we've been through is worth it. And one day, I don't know when it's going to happen, we're going to look at what Devon or Ronisha has done, or is doing in this, and we're going to realize that the whole world was changed as a result. And that's why I'm down. I'm just down, you know. I mean, I'm down for this, because no matter how hard it is for diverse media, and it is hard, it's not as hard as it was for John Johnson. You know, and they didn't have an accelerator. They didn't have a General Motors saying, listen, we want to put money in investing in the growth of diverse media. They didn't have any of that. And so I'm excited I'm optimistic. I'm always optimistic. If you're black and you look over your shoulder and you can't be optimistic when you see what we came through, you're not looking at the right perspective. But BOMESI, I mean, man, don't make me cry up here. I'm just saying. Serious. No, I'm serious. It's going to matter. It matters. It really matters.
It's powerful. And every time I hear you talk about this, Alfred, I have new awakenings each time, right? I mean, the idea that you decide that we're going to go get this funding to support this accelerator, and we're going to bring 7 entrepreneurs together who are building a similar business and learn together that we're not competing. We can lock arms like Ebony and Essence and Black Enterprise did and march forward together, right?
Yeah, I mean, the idea of, you know, us competing was never, even for them, because they're like, just take women's magazines. I mean, I don't know how many of them are still left, but remember they were like always like the 7 sisters? It was Elle, it was Vogue, it was Mademoiselle, it was Ladies' Home Journal. Nobody said, why do white women have 7 magazines? Why? Because white women aren't all alike. And they're not all alike all the time. So there should be just as much diversity in diverse media. I mean, Luz Media is amazing because, yeah, the stereotype is if I'm starting a Latino focus or Latinx focused publication, it needs to be Spanish speaking. Like that's the assumption if you don't know any better. And so that means you should only have one. And even all Spanish speaking people aren't alike. Like the difference between Portuguese and Puerto Rico and Mexico. But if you don't know that, you're not. And what happens is advertising industry that is overwhelmingly white and predominantly male doesn't know that. But they try to reach that audience anyway. When it doesn't work, they say, "Oh, there's no business there. That's right. There's no business there." No, you don't know how to talk to them. You don't know how to get the business out. So
that's it.
That's it.
So walk us forward a little bit. We had this room today, and you alluded to it, that this is going to be a moment that we look back on, that BOMESI convening this group of folks and the folks that were in this room for the inaugural cohort.
Yeah.
We're going to look back on the learning that we had and the amazing things that these publishers went on to do, that the founders went on to do, that the organization went on to do, that Alfred went on to do. Walk us forward, though, for these this space, for these publishers. When things break their way over the next few years, what does this landscape look like? What does diverse home media landscape look like? You know what I mean? When things continue breaking our way over the next 5-10 years.
Here's what we're doing. We are engineering on purpose what happened by happenstance and accident in diverse media before. The main reason why I keep using the same brands, Ebony, Black Enterprise, and Essence survived, is because those 3 publishers did not start out thinking as content people. It was always a business proposition. And they learned the business of media in the case of John Johnson and the way he invented the whole idea of targeting media to a particular ethnic group didn't exist before John Johnson. Targeted media that we accept as regular business now, that was a new thing. Before it was one size fits all media. It was life, it was time. Everybody read the same thing. So my point is, Earl Graves was a real estate salesperson. He was a salesperson. He pursued launching Black Enterprise not as a content proposition. It was a business proposition. Then he hired content people like me and Derek Dingle and Cheryl Hill Tucker and other legends in the magazine business to bring the content. What the BOMESI Accelerator is doing, and what I've done, this is the first time I've ever done it for media entrepreneurs. I've been coaching and mentoring entrepreneurs in general for 30 years. This is my first time coaching and mentoring media entrepreneurs about understanding the business. How do you build a business that, yeah, you're passionate about the content, you're passionate about the audience, but when all is said and done, it's about the business. And the accelerator creates the opportunity for this cohort and future cohorts to learn the business. And of course, once they learn the business, it becomes part of the culture of media entrepreneurship for diverse publishers. And that means there's going to be other people who come up under them who don't have to go to an accelerator to learn the business, who understand sales and marketing and ad ops and the difference between direct sales and programmatic. So we're not talking about just serving these audiences that deserve to be served. We're talking about building a critical mass of business understanding that can be replicated and duplicated, so that not only will you have diverse entrepreneurs who can build brands and serve markets that don't even exist yet, but you're also talking about creating a critical group mass of diverse people who can go into mainstream agencies, mainstream publishing companies, because we're woefully underrepresented there too, and actually understand how to deliver the numbers. Because when it's all said and done, you got to deliver to audiences. Yeah, you could tell a wonderful song and dance about how your audience loves you more than they love everybody else, but once a brand starts putting money on the table, they're going to be measuring the results. And if you don't understand the business of media, then you're going to, again, underdeliver, and then they're going to say, well, there's no money in this space. So my point is, the most important part of this accelerator's existence is to demystify what it means to build a profitable, money-making media company, regardless of who you're serving. And once you solve that equation, we can replicate that all day long. And that's why it's not so much that Curvy Fashionista is going to serve, or Parle is going to be a big brand. It's about these media entrepreneurs being kind of the prototype for what a media entrepreneur looks like in the 21st century. So we can't count it on one hand. John Johnson, Earl Graves, Clarence and Ed Lewis, and people, you might be able to name one or two more. It should be too many to count. It should be too many to count. Most of us can't name the 5 founders of any other mainstream media brand because it's too many to count. It's too many to matter. And so that's the business orientation, the emphasis on how do you build this as a business that can deliver on the promises, not that you just make, the promises you make to your audience, which is a content conversation. How do you deliver on the promise you make to your brands? How do you deliver to GM? How do you deliver to the agencies that represent GM? Because if you don't deliver, they're not going to come back. George Floyd can't get murdered every year. In between those types of watershed events that triggers corporate America's response, there has to be ongoing blocking and tackling that keeps the momentum going, because when all is said and done, COVID or the Black Lives Matter movement, or in Mr. Graves' generation, the civil rights movement led by Dr. King, does trigger a change in a trend and opens doors. But in between those events, we got to deliver. We got to be able to deliver. And you can't do that if you don't understand how the business works.
And it's been so amazing to work with you on this, because every time we have a conversation about the key elements of the curriculum, Alfred will be like, these folks don't have a problem creating content and engaging their audience in an authentic way. They deeply understand their audience. They are tapped in. They know exactly how to engage. And that's what you saw in these presentations today. What we need to demystify is how business decisions get made. And Davon said this to me, you need to just get those insertion orders. Like what it takes to get that insertion order, right? And demystifying that in our communities is so important. Like we've looked at, I've mentored in how many tech accelerators, but to have a media accelerator when storytelling is such a key part of our life, of our societies, of our communities. What do you think was the impact? And I think we have to wrap up soon. Sam's gonna give me the look. What is the impact? You think back on, you mentioned all these folks that came out of Black Enterprise alone and went on to do amazing things. What was the impact then, and what does that mean for the impact now that's in front of us?
Well, again, if you lasted long enough in let's say a Black Enterprise, you got to see how the donuts are made. Like, I was never in sales, but technically I was, because once I became a senior executive and the editor-in-chief, I had to help make the sales case to brands. And that means I had to understand what we had to deliver. And when we didn't deliver, the salesperson didn't catch it. I caught it. Like, why didn't we deliver those numbers? Why didn't we deliver that audience? So, especially in the age of digital, if I can just go back a little bit, the thing about traditional media is that the tools for measurement were they were the best that we had, like the Audit Bureau of Circulation that said, yeah, well, this many people read the magazine and this many people saw your ad, but there was no real way to tell whether that ad made a difference. So it was easier for all media, and certainly diverse media, to say, well, you should buy ad in Black enterprise, and because it's the right thing to do, and it looks right. And yes, we had the Audit Bureau circulation numbers. What we've learned and what we have the chance to do in the current environment, it's not just about getting the insertion order on the front end. It's about knowing you can deliver on the back end, because you don't get paid until the audience delivers. And before, you paid up front, and people got the ad, and once the ad ran, you were done. Now you get the order, but you're not getting paid until the impressions are delivered. You ain't getting that money. And so, what this means to me, both people like me who has grown up and navigated this transition from working on a college newspaper to working in a fully digital multimedia environment, is that I've had the chance to learn along the way, what does it mean to deliver so you can make more money. And my contribution to this is to make sure I'm not the only one that knows that formula, and that's your contribution to everyone in this room, because then it goes back to, it's about replication. It's not about the 2 or 3 brands that survive, it's about enough people surviving and they make enough money to replicate. And that's, to me, what this all means, that at some point, I mean, the industry keeps changing every day. I mean, we know about AI is now impacting everything, but we have to stay in a space where we understand how do you make money. If you understand that, you can figure out the rest. And to me, that's the legacy of Earl Graves. That's the legacy that these entrepreneurs will leave. That'll be the legacy of BOMESI when all is said and done. And this is up to only one cohort. I mean, this is going to be geometrically expanded.
So we're all gathered in this room. What can I do? What can the folks in this room do? What can we do to contribute to that movement, to contribute to the success of these publishers, these entrepreneurs? What can we do to support them?
I think the most important thing we can do, especially if you either work at a quote-unquote mainstream agency, mainstream being code for white, or more importantly, a large corporation that spends media dollars, is to at least admit what's true. It's not that you get evidence and you decide to do something and then you decide to do it. For mainstream business, it's like we decide to do it and then we justify the decision. You know what I'm saying? If most corporations on paper will say it doesn't make any sense for me to put my name on a stadium. Like, there's no metric that justifies that spend other than, it's good branding. But somebody decides that's what we want to do. So we're going to do it, and then we're going to marshal all our resources around that. When that starts happening with diverse media, when we say, no, we're going to spend money. I mean, it's kind of happening now, but we know it's drag kicking and screaming. We also know some corporations are already pulling back. But when you say, like I think General Motors said, we're going to do this. We don't know exactly how we're going to do this, but we're going to spend this money. And then on the back end, we're going to figure out how to make it work. And it maybe won't work well the first time. And maybe we'll figure it out. My point is, we know we've made it when, I'll put it this way, great way. When a black entrepreneur can be mediocre, and mediocre is not bad, it's just not great, and still be as successful as a white media executive can be, or a white entrepreneur can be, that mediocrity is still rewarded across the board, that I could be a mediocre woman and still get rewarded like a mediocre man. That's when we know we're making it. And right now, black excellence has its place. I'm not suggesting we should do less than our best. What I'm saying is, we still live in a world, and I got this first lesson. My first cover story for Black Enterprise was with the late Addison Barry Rand, who you guys don't know the history, but he almost became the first black CEO of Xerox, which would have made him one of the first black CEOs of a Fortune 500 company. He didn't get there. He ended up being CEO of Avis, so he got there, but at a different company. But when he was made head of the U.S. marketing group, that was my first cover story for Black Enterprise for Xerox, and I asked him about what it meant to be one step away from being the CEO of Xerox, because he was part of 4 people that was one step away from that job. And he said, it's great, but I had to be excellent in every way to get this opportunity, and there are 30 vice presidents, white and male, who are just okay. And they got the same shot I got. I can't make any mistakes. I got to be perfect. And these entrepreneurs, when all said and done, for all that BOMESI is doing for them, for all that we've tried to do for them, they're going to go into environments where they can't make any mistakes without somebody saying, well, maybe we shouldn't have spent that money with Luz, or maybe we shouldn't, maybe, you know, BK, Reader. Whereas there are lots of their counterparts who are white and male, or, you know, not necessarily white and male like they're startups at this size, but who can make the same mistake, and the presumption is if they don't deliver, that's an aberration. Whereas if we don't deliver, that's the standard, and we got to prove that it's not. So if you're inside your organizations, you need to be the champion that says, yeah, it may not work the first time. Yeah, you know, if it's not this, you know, Latina-facing organization, we need to find it. But it can't be, well, it didn't work, so let's go back to the way we used to do it. And I understand that's not easy. That's not simple. You have culture challenges in your organizations too. It's not easy to stand up and say, listen, we should fight this battle when it may not matter to the bottom line of your organization. But that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And it's always taken that. Not just in media, but in every area of American advancement. It takes somebody saying, no, we're going to do this, even if we've never done it before, and even if we don't know how it's going to work. And that's how we're going to move the needle.